YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Our Bassmasters Classic Fantasy Show is coming in just 3 hours, so make sure y'all stay tuned for that. But today's video is not about that. Today's not about the Bassmasters Classic, but we did have a great response to my story yesterday, so if you haven't checked that out, please do so. But today's video is going to be centered around fishing evening tournaments. So like those 3 to 4 hour shootouts. This is a fan request from YouTube, and I'm telling you guys, I read all of your comments. So if you drop an idea of a video that you'd like to see, more than likely, I'm probably going to do it. This particular fan saw some of my team tournament preparation, my individual tournament preparation, and today's video is going to be around what I used to do when I grew up, and that's fishing those little evening tournaments. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all haven't yet, though, please hit that sub button in the bottom right-hand corner. It's a little red square. Greatly would appreciate it. Comment below, do you like fishing evening tournaments? And if you do, what evening tournaments do you fish, or what lake do you fish on? I'd love to hear what it is. I have a few that I used to fish all the time, so I'd love to hear where you like to throw down on those evening tournaments. So guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in just a second. Alright guys, today's video is about how to prepare and how to fish evening tournaments. Now when it comes to preparation, I still prepare, but not to the extent of fishing a weekend tournament or an individual tournament, something like that. Typically for an evening tournament, I really try to base it off of conditions. So if I've got an evening that I've got some thunderstorms rolling in, I've got a little mix of rain, that might make me fish one way in comparison to if I have sun all day and I'm trying to fish it, like if it's no wind and sunny, I'm gonna fish it completely different. So I still base everything that I do based off of the conditions that I have outside. And you'll hear me talk about that a lot throughout almost all of my videos. I base pretty much everything that I do off of conditions. Well, when it comes to evening tournaments though, you can't adjust very well. So if you've ever fished an evening tournament, I'm talking about those shootouts, those ones that start at like 4 and they end at 7, 7:30. Those are the tournaments that I'm referring to. You know, I grew up, when I grew up fishing evening tournaments. I grew up on the shores of Toledo Bend, and we always fished the Thursday night tournament out of Alpine Marina. And I'm telling you guys, by the time I left there, that evening tournament was pushing like 30 to 50 boats. It'd have Elite Series pros, it'd have like guides in it. It was a really tough evening tournament, but it was so much fun. I even jumped over to Sam Rayburn and fished their evening tournament from time to time. I fished an evening tournament with Jacob Wheeler up in Indiana. I fished evening tournaments basically everywhere. A buddy of mine over at Ouachita, Josh Ford, fished an evening tournament with him. I think we actually fished a couple of them, won one of them. But guys, when it comes to evening tournaments, you've got to really, there's two trains of thought when it comes to evening tournaments. And this is from fishing with Wheeler and some others, is you either got to find an area that you really, really like. And that particular spot is the deal. And maybe you get bit off of it, maybe you don't. And most of my success in evening tournaments have always come that way. If I have an area that I think has some big ones, or maybe I can catch a limit off of it, I might stay there the whole evening, so 3 hours. And then the other train of thought is let me see how many casts I can make in one given period of time. And that's a completely different, way to look at it. That's the way Wheeler and I were. We actually, the way we fished is we picked up a crankbait, a square bill, and we literally tried to cover every single bank in that lake. And so you try to either maximize your cast or you try to maximize your area. If it's a team type tournament, and a lot of these evening tournaments are team type tournaments, because team type tournament, I always have one guy trying to catch a limit and the other guy trying to catch big ones. That's the way that you win team tournaments, is you always have one guy that's trying to catch the biggest fish in the lake. And I'm not saying like swinging so much that you're throwing like 8-inch glide baits and things like that. I'm just saying like throwing what we would consider big fish baits, jigs, big crankbaits, top water, buzz bait, whatever it may be, and picking up those particular baits for those situations. Now, like say for instance, when Josh and I won our tournament in Ouachita, we were throwing a spinnerbait, one was throwing a big worm. You know, I mean, we were trying to catch a big bag because we knew that those guys were going to catch them. My days on Toledo, though, you know, especially late summer evening tournaments, it'd get really, really tough. So if you came in with a limit, you did really good. Now that actually brings a really good point. You know, there's two types of evening tournaments that I've fished. I've fished either big fish evening tournaments, or I fished where you catch a limit. And sometimes that limit's 3 fish, sometimes that limit's 5 fish. Well, in the sense of the 5 fish limit situation, sometimes that's kind of difficult. I've been in evening tournaments where I was the only limit that got weighed in and nobody caught, you know, more than 2 fish or 3 fish. And then I've been in evening tournaments where they caught 25 pounds. So you never really know how it's going to go. Some evenings are better than the others. But when it comes to the way I approach them, I keep it pretty simple. Like I said, I try to make a million casts, or I try to just fish a spot. You can do both. Sometimes I've seen it to where you start out the day, because especially in the summer, I mean, evening tournaments in the summer, that first few hours is actually kind of tough sometimes. So maybe you start out in that spot where you might just get a couple bites and they might be big ones. And then the last part of the day, like maybe that last hour, hour and a half, then you pick up your moving baits, your topwaters, your crankbaits, and you go to the bank and you try to catch more fish, because that's when they're the peak feeding time. But, you know, I mean, that's the thing about evening tournaments. There's no right or wrong way to fish them. But well, I guess that's wrong, because there is a wrong way to fish them. If you go out there and you try to do too many things, you're going to lose. I've seen it too many times. The times that I've won a lot of these evening tournaments is when I've truly buckled down and either fished one place or picked up 1 or 2 baits and just tried to cover as much water as I can. You know, summertime, you can't really, I mean, you can do that depending on what lake you're on, especially shallow, super late, like right before you got to go in. You can a lot of times catch some really big ones throwing spinner baits, like light spinner baits, a topwater, a buzz bait. You know, and especially on those cloudy days, those are the days where you're going to have a prolonged evening bite, and that's when it's really, really good. But, you know, that's a pretty simple breakdown on how to fish the evening time. I'm not going to give you a particular bait because every lake is different, guys. You just got to fish conditions. If it's cloudy and windy, you know that evening bite's prolonged. If it's sunny and calm, you know it's probably going to be a pretty tough evening bite. And that's when you got to really slow down, finesse, throw Carolina rigs, drop shots, shaky heads, things like that. And really try to just get as many bites as you can, because at the end of the day, whoever comes in with 5 in these evening tournaments, more times than not, especially on the tough ones, is going to do pretty good. Guys, the Bassmaster Classic kicks off in just a couple of days. I hope to see y'all there. I'm going to probably release a video here in just a couple of days and tell you exactly where I'm going to be for the Bassmasters Classic, so you can come find me. I will be there all 3 days of the events. Probably going to leave a little early on Sunday. Try to get back home. Got a lot of things going on with the move, so I hope y'all stay tuned for that. Guys, I can't begin to tell you how happy I am that y'all watch my videos and that y'all enjoy my content. If y'all have any content ideas, y'all drop them below. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say and some ideas for new videos. Obviously, my backdrop's different today. Outside, it's like super loud. They're working on my road again. Shocker. But I hope y'all enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the next one.